Hi there, I'm back. We seem to have got cut off a little bit. I don't know what happened. So, what I was basically saying was that civil obedience basically tells us that when we feel that our government or any authority is doing something wrong, we have a moral responsibility to protest, to do whatever we can. A little unsure exactly where we got cut off, so I'm hoping I'm not repeating answers, um, but we will see. He asked if he had anything to say on gender equality, and basically, no, he didn't. But what I can say is that Thoreau, as I said, believed that everyone was equal, male or female, black or white, didn't really matter, and that the thing he liked about any individual was the intellectual stimulation. So most women in his day were not very intellectualized. They didn't go to college, obviously, but those who read and wrote and thought about things, people like Margaret Fuller, Elizabeth Peabody, people like Mary Moody Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson's aunt, were people he really appreciated, people he could talk to. That was the most important thing. Who could you talk to and be inspired by? Let's see where we left off. Where did we get cut off? Sorry. What are his thoughts on power and authority? He did not like authority. He did not like people or government telling him what he can or cannot do. He did not like the idea that government we get involved in the day-to-day life of individual citizens. So if you wanted to change anything, it would be to reduce government involvement. He knew there had to be government. He's not wanting to get rid of government altogether, but he wants to reduce it. Did he want to be a leader himself? No. He actually didn't. He wanted to inspire people, as did Emerson. They wanted to inspire people to live their own lives and to be their own individual self. Emerson talked a lot about self-reliance. Thoreau, my favorite Thoreau quotation is one where he says, "If I am not I, who will be?" He's saying, we are all such unique individuals, and it's so important that you, as an individual, be proud of who you are and do the things that make you uniquely you. No one else can be you. I love the question where the person wrote everything down rather than filming himself or herself. Internet has connected people from all over the world, but it also physically isolates people. What would Thoreau think about this? And I think it's actually a fairly easy question to write to answer because in Thoreau's day they were building a transatlantic cable, a huge cable that allowed people to talk from America to Europe, telegraph basically. And he was shocked that they would do all this and then have nothing to say. So to have the ability to communicate with people all around the world and not have anything to say is foolish. But I think if you looked at how we communicate, and it's not just people communicating through social media, through the internet and technology all around the world. It was in his day too that the fact that people could get together, to be together face to face even, and literally have nothing to say, nothing to communicate, nothing to challenge, nothing to think about was absurd. And it's why he often preferred his own company to anyone else's, because people were not, when they got together, giving him something to chew on, something to think about. What would Thoreau think about our modern lifestyle and advancements in technology? Thoreau was not a Luddite. He appreciated technology. He used new technology. He used the train. He used the best publishers in the world in his day. He had a pencil factory. He made things. He did things. So he was not against technology, but he would always be against the idea that technology ran our lives. When the train came by in Concord, when the train was built, which is when he was living at Walden Pond, so farmers could originally tell time by the sun. And what he discovered is when the train came by, farmers would set their timepieces by the train schedule. So they were no longer connecting themselves to the sun, and when the sun was overhead and it must be noon, they would look at their watch there. And that was something that was wrong. The technology was running their lives. So if he were here today, he was a writer, he would have a laptop, he would use technology to help him be a better writer. but he would never run because the computer beeped and said, you have a new message. So he wouldn't let it run his life. What qualities can we learn from Thoreau's life? I think we can learn the qualities of deliberation, thinking about things, thinking about how it affects us, how it affects the rest of the world. I think we can learn the quality of questioning. One of the things I love about Thoreau is how much he questioned things, including his own ideas, so that he is constantly evolving, constantly re-evaluating things. That the Thoreau of 20 is not the same Thoreau of 30 or 40 or 50, and hopefully all of us can learn to question ourselves, not just question things around us, but question ourselves. Who are we? What do we believe in? And is the thing that we believe today going to be the thing we believe tomorrow or next year or 10 years from now? We need to, if we are evolving, if we are changing, then some of our positions about various things will probably change also. And that I found very inspirational in Thoreau. Would someone get inspired by Thoreau now? And the answer is, for me, absolutely yes. But what they need to do is read Thoreau. They don't need to listen to what other people are saying about Thoreau. They need to pick up one of his books, whether it's Walden or Civil Disobedience or reading his journals. They need to read them. I had a young woman come visit it not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. She was a high school student doing a paper on Thoreau, and she wanted to ask me some questions. And her grasp and knowledge of Thoreau was one of the best I'd ever seen. And I asked her like how she came by this knowledge. What was she reading? What works about Thoreau? What about? And she said, no, I don't read anything about Thoreau. I only read Thoreau. And I love the fact that she was not being influenced by the myths. She was not being influenced by what other people had to say. She was reading Thoreau like you would read Thoreau in 1849 or 1854. You would be sitting down with the text and Thoreau would be talking to you. What are your thoughts on Thoreau? Well, certainly I find him very inspirational. I find him a magnificent writer, one of the best writers that we had. Person asked if I'm a fan of Thoreau and his philosophies. Absolutely. I find that his voice, the strength of his voice, the assurance of his voice is very inspiring. And if there are times I'm sort of feeling, I don't want to say lost, but not quite sure of myself, reading a little bit of Thoreau or Emerson makes me a stronger person, makes me feel more on track. And do I have a personal connection to Thoreau and to Walden? I mean, certainly not to Walden, the pond, the place, but yes, to his writings. I find that a lot of people have very personal connection to Thoreau, and I think it's because we feel that he's writing directly to you. So when you're reading any of his works, you feel like Henry David Thoreau is talking to you. And so people end up calling him Henry. It's really interesting. A lot of people I talk to around here, people who read him a lot, start calling him Henry. And that, I think, is because you do feel that there's a personal connection between that writer from the 1840s and 1850s to you today in 2019. That is a very personal connection. I think that's why a lot of people read Thoreau, is because they feel connected to him. So I hope I've answered all your questions. Hope I didn't miss any. I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed reading some Thoreau. If you have further questions about Thoreau, I'm happy to talk to you about them. You can email me. Your teacher can give you my email address. You can reach me through our website, walden.org. But I hope you'll continue to read Thoreau and enjoy him. So take care.